In 5 U.S. cities right now, home prices have shot up by $200,000 or more in shockingly short time frames. Not over a decade, not over 5 years. In some cases, in just 18 to 24 months. Here's what's happening in these 5 markets and why the money is moving so fast. Number 5, Denver, Colorado. Denver's housing market has been one of the fastest moving in the entire country for the past several years, driven by an influx of remote workers relocating from coastal cities, major tech companies expanding their presence in the city, and a broader shift of wealth and jobs toward the Mountain West. A median single-family home in Denver that sold for approximately $425,000 in early 2020 was selling for roughly $635,000 by late 2021, a gain of $210,000 in less than 2 years. That's not an outlier. That's the median, meaning half of all sales involved even larger price increases. Some specific neighborhoods in Denver saw median price increases exceeding $250,000 in the same time frame. What made Denver particularly attractive during this surge was the combination of a growing job market, no state income tax on wages, and a lifestyle appeal that attracted remote workers who could suddenly live anywhere.
Tech companies like Google, Amazon, and numerous smaller tech startups either expanded existing operations or opened new offices in the Denver metro area during 2020 and 2021, bringing hundreds of new high-paying jobs into the market. The speed of this appreciation created a compounding effect.
As prices rose and the market heated up, investors and cash buyers from out of state started arriving, knowing that Denver was one of the few major metro areas still offering what they perceived as affordable pricing compared to coastal markets. That outside capital accelerated price growth even further. Rental prices followed a similar trajectory. A 2-bedroom apartment that rented for $1,400 per month in 2019 was commanding $1,900 to $2,100 by 2022, a jump of $500 to $700 monthly, or roughly 40% in just 3 years. Those rental increases meant that renters who couldn't afford to buy were also being priced out simultaneously, creating a genuine affordability crisis across the entire Denver metro area. Number 4, Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville experienced an even more dramatic price surge than Denver, with the median home price jumping from approximately $360,000 in early 2020 to roughly $570,000 by the end of 2021, a $210,000 increase in 21 months. Some specific Nashville neighborhoods saw median price increases topping $280,000 over the same period. Nashville's appeal combined several powerful factors: Tennessee's lack of state income tax, a thriving entertainment and tourism industry that created jobs, a growing reputation as a destination for remote workers, and significant capital from outside investors who recognized the city as undervalued relative to other major metros experiencing similar growth. The corporate relocations to Nashville also accelerated during this period. Multiple companies announced headquarters moves or significant expansions in the city during 2020 and 2021, including Oracle expanding its Nashville operations and various smaller tech, healthcare, and financial services firms opening offices. Each of these moves brought hundreds of new employees and their families into the market, all needing housing simultaneously. What made Nashville's surge particularly intense was that much of the price growth was concentrated in specific neighborhoods close to downtown, rather than spreading evenly across the metro area. The neighborhoods within 15 minutes of the downtown core saw median price increases exceeding $250,000, while areas further out experienced more modest gains of $80,000 to $120,000. This created stark contrasts where you could find neighborhoods just miles apart with dramatically different price trajectories. Institutional investors and real estate investment trusts, REITs, also moved aggressively into Nashville during this period. Data from real estate firms showed that institutional buyers accounted for roughly 8 to 12% of all single-family home purchases in Nashville during 2021 and 2022, up from around 2 to 3% just 2 years earlier. That influx of cash buyers further accelerated price growth. Number 3, Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix experienced even more dramatic price growth than either Denver or Nashville, with the median home price jumping from approximately $380,000 in early 2020 to roughly $600,000 by the end of 2021, a $220,000 increase in 21 months. Some Phoenix neighborhoods saw median price increases of $300,000 or more over the same timeframe. What's remarkable about Phoenix's surge is how broad-based it was. Unlike some markets where price growth concentrates in specific neighborhoods or price ranges, Phoenix saw substantial increases across nearly every neighborhood and every price point simultaneously. Homes under $200,000, homes in the $300,000 to $500,000 range, and homes over $1 million all experienced similar percentage-based appreciation. The drivers were straightforward. California residents relocating in massive numbers, no state income tax in Arizona, rapidly expanding job markets in tech and healthcare, and mortgage rates that were historically low during 2020 and early 2021, meaning buyers could afford far more house for the same monthly payment than they could have just a few years prior. Out-of-state cash buyers were particularly dominant in Phoenix during this surge. Real estate data indicated that roughly 35 to 40% of all home purchases in the Phoenix metro area during 2021 and 2022 involved out-of-state buyers, many of them paying in cash or with minimal financing, which allowed them to outbid local buyers who relied on traditional mortgages. This outsized presence of out-of-state investors also meant that price growth didn't always correlate with local wage growth or job creation. While Phoenix did see genuine job growth and an influx of new residents, much of the price appreciation was driven by pure capital inflows from investors and remote workers with high incomes from other states. That created a fundamental disconnect between local incomes and local home prices that many economists argued was unsustainable. Number 2, Miami, Florida. Miami's price surge was even more dramatic than Phoenix, with the median home price jumping from approximately $350,000 in early 2020 to roughly $590,000 by the end of 2021, a $240,000 increase in 21 months. But specific Miami neighborhoods, particularly those in Wynwood, the Design District, and parts of Coral Gables, saw median price increases exceeding $350,000 to $400,000 over the same period. Miami became a magnet for several overlapping groups of buyers simultaneously. Remote workers from New York and other high-tax northeastern states relocated in waves. International buyers from South America and Europe seeking to establish U.S. residency or diversify their asset holdings poured capital into Miami real estate. Cryptocurrency and fintech entrepreneurs, particularly those who'd made enormous gains in 2020 and 2021, were actively deploying capital in Miami properties. And institutional investors, seeing Miami as one of the strongest emerging real estate markets in the country, began purchasing in volume. The result was a genuine feeding frenzy in specific neighborhoods. Homes listed for $500,000 were receiving multiple offers over $650,000 within days, sometimes hours. Multiple offers weren't unusual, they were the norm. Waived inspections, waived appraisals, and cash-only bids became standard for desirable properties. Miami also benefited from an influx of financial services businesses relocating from New York, including several major hedge funds and investment firms that moved either their headquarters or significant portions of their operations to the city. This brought high-income workers and the capital that follows them directly into Miami real estate. Rents followed a similar trajectory to prices. A one-bedroom apartment in desirable Miami neighborhoods that rented for $1,500 to $1,800 in 2019 was commanding $2,400 to $3,000 by 2022. A two-bedroom jumped from $2,000 to $2,500 to $3,200 to $4,000. These rental increases created a situation where renters were facing genuine hardship, with rent-to-income ratios climbing above 50% for many households. Number 1, Austin, Texas. Austin's price surge topped all the others. with the median home price jumping from approximately $380,000 in early 2020 to roughly $625,000 by the end of 2021, a $245,000 increase in 21 months. Specific Austin neighborhoods, particularly those in South Austin, Central Austin, and areas near downtown, saw median price increases of $300,000 to $400,000 or more over the same period.
Austin's appeal was extraordinary during this period, combining no state income tax, a booming tech job market, a cultural reputation as a vibrant young city, and affordability that was still reasonable compared to coastal tech hubs like San Francisco and Seattle. Tech companies including Tesla, Oracle, Apple, and numerous smaller startups announced headquarters moves or major expansions to Austin during 2020 and 2021. The combination created the perfect storm for rapid price appreciation.
Established tech workers relocating from California could sell a $1.2 million house in the Bay Area, move to Austin, buy a $700,000 home, and pocket $500,000 in equity. Newly hired tech workers at Austin companies, earning six-figure salaries, were entering the market simultaneously. And investors, seeing Austin as the next major tech hub, were buying aggressively. What made Austin's surge particularly notable is that it extended beyond the traditional wealthy neighborhoods into working-class and middle-class areas. A modest three-bedroom home in East Austin that sold for $280,000 in 2019 was selling for $520,000 by 2022. That's an 86% price increase in just 3 years, which is extraordinary for a market of any size. This rapid appreciation created genuine social tension in Austin.
Longtime residents who'd owned homes for decades suddenly found their property taxes doubled because property tax assessments are based on current market value, not historical purchase price. Renters saw their housing costs skyrocket. Community advocates argued that Austin was losing its character as rapid gentrification displaced working families and replaced local businesses with chains. The Austin surge also created a unique problem for the local job market.
Tech companies were hiring aggressively and paying good salaries, but those salaries, while generous compared to many parts of the country, weren't generous enough to allow the typical worker to afford a typical home at the new market prices. A software engineer earning $150,000 per year might have been able to afford a $600,000 home in 2019, but by 2022, the same home was worth $950,000, putting homeownership out of reach.
5 cities, 5 markets where $200,000 or more in price appreciation happened in less than 2 years. What connected all of them was the same underlying catalyst: a simultaneous influx of out-of-state capital, remote worker relocation, corporate expansions, and historically low mortgage rates that created a perfect storm for rapid price growth. The question now is whether those markets will sustain that appreciation, correct downward, or settle into a new normal. For buyers who purchased during the surge, the answer depends entirely on whether they bought before or after the peak. For renters in those same cities, it's created a genuine affordability crisis that remains unresolved. If you found this useful, subscribe for more breakdowns on real estate markets across America. Let us know in the comments which of these 5 cities surprised you the most. See you in the next one.